Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. We got a Thursday slate today in the NBA, another 6-game slate. Personally love these 6-game slates. We get another one right back today. Hopefully more value on this slate than last night's slate. We're going to jump right into it like we usually do. If this is your first time to the channel, welcome to the channel. My name is Sal Vetri, and what I do here is I cover daily fantasy sports and probably most of the sports that you like. NFL, NBA right now, what will be the MLB pretty soon, NBA playoffs. Closer than they seem, about a month away or so. So we got a month left of the NBA season. Things are about to get rowdy pretty soon in terms of just backups coming in, late news everywhere. At the end of the season, people just tanking. So let's enjoy it while it lasts. Another 6-game, very nice, digestible slate here on Thursday. We'll hop into it pretty soon. If you could hit me with that thumbs up right now, it helps me. Returning subscribers, thank you so much. If you're new here, welcome to the community. I hope you consider joining it by subscribing and also joining the Discord, things like that. I'll touch on some things quickly. The Discord is right here. It's just pretty much a free website and also an app. It's very useful on the go. And it's just, there's different channels I created. It's just a way to talk to people that you might not have this exposure and be able to chat with people and just get strategy talk for the straight, get opinions on certain plays that you're thinking of, data, whatever it might be. I throw the target offense sheet in here. This is the projections one for people who get my projections through Patreon. But here you can see NFL got heated up during the free agency. MLB is probably a sleeping giant right now. NBA is where all the action is right now, as well as golf, actually. Very good amount of golf in here, people. So yeah, hop in there. It's totally free. I did mention the projections. If you do want the projections, you can get them over on Patreon. They're NBA projections right now. I'm actually working on MLB projections, trying to test them out. There will be NFL projections when the time comes. So yeah, and NBA projections, people have been saying that they are helping. So I just want to give you as much value as possible in those. They're like 30 cents a day, $8 for the month. You can check them out if you'd like. So before I get started, I just want to say that 6-game slate, there's going to be some things that I don't usually have in these videos. So for instance, impacted players on the injury dashboard. I usually like to put players that will be impacted if this person is ruled out, or if they're in now, who is now not going to be getting those minutes. Don't have that and won't be doing early interest in terms of just having a chart. I will say my interest when we're on the target offense page, things like that. Reason being is today's sort of a crazy day. Have an exam, one, but number two, I'm going to be filming or recording for the Sirius XM bit that I'll be doing on Sportsline USA for Sirius XM. So it's exciting, 15-minute fantasy show. I'll be doing that today as well. So it's prepping for that. It's going to be about the weekend slate. So make sure to tune in. I'll post links to the podcast part of it or the live part of it on Twitter. So that's all out of the way. Let's get this started. Hit me with a thumbs up if you can. So, injury dashboard today. It's a pretty big one, especially compared to yesterday. Same side slate yesterday had very few value, and we had a winner in our free contest for the free projections yesterday. We'll be doing more of those as well, so make sure to get into Discord. There's a free contest on Draftkings that everybody participates in our league, so definitely get in there. And I'll be going over that lineup at the end of this video, so if you want to stick around, you can see the winner's lineup, and I'll just kind of break down where I was in that tournament and where the winner was and what I thought was nice. Very low scores last night. Don't project that to happen again today. When we don't have any value, that's what's going to happen. Hopefully we get some today. So Kyle Lowry's probable, so is Danny Green. In Toronto today against the Lakers. Tyreke Evans, so news that we got early, he is out. This is going to affect Corey Joseph. You could put that in if you have your own chart. Corey Joseph will be the one most affected here. Probably see mid to probably 25 minutes. I think I have him in the projections, 25 and a half, 26 right now. With no Tyreke Evans, Corey Joe gets those minutes solidified a bit more, as well as Wesley Matthews. He'll probably be closer now to 32 to 33. Jason Tatum is probable today after being ruled out in the last game. But then we have some more Boston news. Marcus Smart, questionable today. This man doesn't miss many games, so if he's out, I would imagine Jaylen Brown sees a start at the 2. Gordon Hayward also has that potential. Those are the two main guys that really see the biggest bump there. Kyrie maybe gets a little bit more of a minutes floor at the point guard position, as Smart is that point guard eligible guy out there. Rozier potentially could see a spot start at the 2. So there's a lot of different guys. It would depend on who's in the starting lineup for me. There's probably going to be hype around guys like Jaylen Brown if we get news that Smart is out. If the lineup says Terry Rozier's at the 2, I don't want Jaylen Brown coming off the bench at all in cash. And in tournaments, if he's high owned, I don't want that either. So keep an eye on that. Daniel Theis is questionable. If he's out, you get a bump for Aaron Baines, maybe to the mid to upper teens, maybe 16, 17 minutes instead of a 13, 14. Marvin Bagley, so this is big news. He's questionable out of nowhere. It seems like he's now healthy after that scary knee injury. I currently have him out in my projections. Obviously, we'll change that if the questionable tag goes to probable, if he's in the starting lineup, if he's probable coming off the bench. I would expect a minutes limit here because that was a scary injury. Young, phenomenal rookie. So I'd watch out for this. It's going to affect Bielitsa. Got that right. Saying his name all over the place last week, but it's going to affect Bjelica. If he's out, if Bagley's out, I expect Bjelica to see close to that upper 20s minutes once again, not 36 or whatever we saw last game. I think I have him in for 28 right now. Harry Giles will also see around 20 minutes a game. If we get Bagley news being out. If he's in, Bagley, I imagine sees a minutes limit, maybe around 20. We'll have to wait and see. Imagine he's in the starting lineup, which would push Barnes either out of the lineup or back to the 3, which would then push Buddy Hield to the 2 and bump Bojan out of the starting lineup, or Bogan out of the starting lineup. So definitely keep an eye on all that. This is actually pretty big news for that whole team in terms of their rotation, not just in the secondary unit, but on the first team unit as well. Torrey Craig, questionable. No, nothing really matters there for Torrey Craig. Basically out of this rotation. Trey Lyles is questionable. He has been out. Again, just solidify sort of Mason Plumlee as the backup and solidify in the 30s minutes for Paul Millsap. For the Lakers, no really crazy news. Josh Hart's questionable, seeing low to mid 20s in minutes. So if he was out, those minutes have to go somewhere. Pope, who had 27 minutes in the last game, probably sees a more stable minutes floor. I don't really want Pope in either contest, especially in a tournament, if he's going to be higher on than he would be because of his performance last game. Lance Stevenson, again, would increase Pope's floor. Tyson Chandler, if he is in, it's going to hurt Wagner, who goes back to the 3 at the center position. Either way, Wagner's not really on my list right now in terms of any sort of interest. And then we get just a ton of news out of Minnesota. So we know Karl Anthony Towns is probable, and actually what is a favorable matchup in terms of fantasy. Utah gives it up to the center position, even though Rudy Gobert is an elite defender. Interesting that actually is a thing. But yeah, then we have Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose. I currently have them out in my projections. They're questionable though. Luol Deng is out. Andrew Wiggins is questionable. Robert Covington out. So the way I'm handling this in my projections, I currently have Andrew Wiggins as in because he almost played last game. It seemed like he was expected to play, so I feel like now with an extra day and a half, 2 days, he'll be fine. Jeff Teague and Derrick Rose, I'd like to put out in my projections to start. I have no clue where this is going to go. I would lean out because these guys all year have been taking time to come back from injuries, Teague and Rose. But I like to keep them out of my projections because what it does is it allows me to see what it will look like if those guys are actually ruled out, because I already know what, and we all kind of can expect what it will look like if those guys are in. You're going to expect Teague to start at the point guard with around 30 minutes. You're going to expect Rose to come off the bench with around 23 to 25 minutes. But if those guys are out, people really don't know as much of what it will look like, what it's going to look like for Josh Okogie. He'll probably be seeing 24 minutes, but it's going to look like for Tyson Jones, it's probably going to be low to mid 20s a minute. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. Currently have them out, but they're questionable. And then for Cleveland, Larry Nance Jr. is already ruled out. Matthew Dellavedova being out is bigger news than really anybody will know, and Tristan Thompson's out. So Larry Nance is out. This is going to solidify Zizic for upper 20s to close to 30s in minutes. Kevin Love is back, so it's not like he's the only big. Marquise Chris is coming off the suspension, so now they have bigs back. So it's not just Zizic today. Makes him a less desirable play, but you still see those minutes at the center position. Matthew Dellavedova being out is pretty big for multiple guys. Well, Jordan Clarkson, for one, should continue to see around 30 minutes instead of 28. And I get a lot of times, well, who cares? It's 2 extra minutes. Well, here's the thing. You're getting 2 extra minutes. If that guy on average scores a point per minute, that's 2 extra points. If he goes above average and he gets you 3 to 3.5, well, that's even better. But the thing is, if throughout all players in your lineup, you're approaching it with the same exact mindset, well, if you get an extra 1 to 2 points because you're getting an extra 1 to 2 minutes projected because you just follow the game closely or you have a good projection system, if you get an extra 1 to 2 minutes per game out of all 8 players, so that's an extra, say, 10, let's say just 12 minutes in your roster, if they each get you at the minimum a point per minute, that's 12 extra points on average that you're getting in your lineup. Now that starts to matter, 12 extra points in your fantasy lineup. So that's why it's a big deal. Matthew Dellavedova being out is going to give pretty much Colin Sexton, not Richie Sexton, Colin Sexton, 35 minutes once again today. It's going to solidify Jordan Clarkson. It's going to solidify Brandon Knight for 24 minutes. I think I have him at. So yeah, the guard depth is just low. Dellavedova would come in and take over for Sexton, and Clarkson wouldn't get as much run as he is going to now. So both of them become interesting plays. So that's it. The main things to really keep an eye on is just what happens in Minnesota today. If Teague is out, makes me love Karl Anthony Towns even more. We know his assist rate would go up then. Keep an eye on that. It would obviously make me love Tyus Jones, whose price just hasn't corrected as much in time. And then keep an eye on what's going on in Sacramento, because this Marvin Bagley injury is a lot bigger than people think, even if he's on a minutes limit, because it's going to cut into everything out there. Bielitsa's price is up, so it's not that crazy value that you were getting. So people might really not even be on him. But if Bagley's in without a minutes restriction, Boston's a tough matchup at 6,100 becomes very interesting as well. So lots to look at here. The whole rotation will get bunched up. So keep an eye out. Before we move on, quickly want to touch on Draft Dashboard once again. Like I said, I'll be filming later today for the Friday show. It'll air on Sportsline USA. I think it's like channel 210 or 211 on Sirius XM. It's going to be on iHeartRadio. It's going to be on iTunes once it's done. A bunch of things, and pretty much anywhere you could find a podcast. It originally airs at 11 o'clock at night on Friday on Eastern time, so not favorable for pretty much most of you, but it will re-air over the weekend, and then probably the most convenient thing for you guys is just the downloadable versions. I'll post all that on Twitter. Only reason I bring it up again is because Draft Dashboard kind of helped me get that spot on the radio show. So I'm looking forward to it for sure. I'm going to be leveraging the target offense sheet like we're about to show on that for the weekend slate, since I won't really have salaries, but I think it's going to be really good, really informative, especially for people who don't get that type of stuff, people who don't watch these videos like you guys and girls do daily, or if you're once a week and don't really know what pace is and things like that. It'll be nice to hear, I think, in passing at least. So this is Draft Dashboard. It's a nice spot to see everything that's pretty much on the slate in terms of ownership early in the day. They update it throughout the day. How often, and this is what I like, this is something that I want to create, is a hit. How often that this person hits value at that current salary. So when Russell Westbrook is priced at 10.9, how often does he actually get you value? Now, I'm assuming they're using 5x for value. If you're playing from a tournament perspective, I would look at 6x. In cash, I use 4x plus 10 because I don't think 5x is very good. I'm going to assume, because most places use 5x here, not positive. So 73%, that's pretty damn good. But then you start coming down here. Luka only hits it 50% of the time. So is he worth paying for? These are things that I like to use the dashboard for. It's very cool. You can watch list players here with the target icon. It goes into the watch players pool list, and then pretty much you can build lineups through a lineup optimizer. Their NBA cheat sheet just shows you different price ranges of guys who look decent at their price range, whether it's the low, the mid, or the high stakes. So definitely check out Draft Dashboard. Link below gets you 30 days for $1, 3 pennies a day to increase your game. I think it's personally worth it, so you should check it out. All right. Let's move over to target offense sheet right now. So target offense sheet added one thing, and I'm going to continue to add things, just basically a back-to-back column. So if it's in orange, that means that they're on the second night of a back-to-back. If it's not, that means they are not. I'll probably end up changing it to like a 1A, 1B. 1A means they're on the first end, 1B means they're on the second end. But for right now, it's just a yes or no on there. Are they on a back-to-back? A lot of people asked about that, so wanted to add that to the target offense sheet. I want to grow this target offense sheet. There's a lot of valuable things on it, but I want to put more. So you have the back-to-back data, you have the pace information like always. Projected pace just means possessions per game. The higher the possessions per game, the better. Totals for Vegas, and then defenses versus position. So if we want to just look at this in terms of where the best pace spots on this slate are, well, they're going to be right here in the middle. So 105.23, 105.73, fastest pace on the slate. That's how many possessions per team you're going to be looking at here. And the thing that's nice about these games is the average pace in the league is about 102.5. So 3 extra possessions per team in this game. You do like that. You get Sacramento versus Boston. Sacramento, top 5 team in pace on the entire season. And then you get the Lakers and Toronto, another top 5 team in pace on the entire season. A pace up spot, a little bit for Toronto, definitely for Boston. You're going to look at correlation here, and you're going to see that this Toronto and LA game, 231 over, or total over under, the highest one on the entire slate. So a nice pace, or a nice spot to look at. Spread minus 10 if you're somebody who factors in blowouts. Personally do not. Becomes a little bit worrisome at that point right there. But yeah, this is what you're looking at. And in terms of this specific matchup, if we want to focus on Toronto and LA, it's hard to get this LA team right now, especially since there's a couple of guys who are questionable that most of the time wouldn't really matter. Tyson Chandler, Lance Stevenson, Josh Hart. Most of the time, none of those guys really matter for the majority part of this year. But right now, without Brandon Ingram, with Kuzma battling some injuries, yeah, he's back. But without Brandon Ingram, Braun on a limits minute, no Lonzo Ball. This is a situation where these guys actually matter in terms of who's going to see a bunch of minutes, because they have to go somewhere. So Toronto, favorable matchup almost across the board here, right? You're going to get the point guard position. Kyle Lowry's in a great spot today, personally, or he's in a great spot personally himself at that point guard position. Rondo, not the toughest of matchups for a guy like Lowry, but on the flip side, Rondo has a tough matchup in a guy like Lowry, if that makes sense. Toronto, Pope, whoever it is, Pope or Reggie Bullock at the 2, not somebody I really want to ever play in any format. Doesn't really have the greatest of matchups either, going up against probably Danny Green today. If we stick with Toronto, though, shooting guard, small forward, all these spots have great matchups. Kawhi Leonard was just popping in my model this morning. I had to take his projected points per minute down a little bit just to account for the way that Siakam's been playing as of late, Marcus Saul being there now. But he still is at his price point popping quite a bit, I would say. Never a guy that I like to get to in tournaments. Never really a guy in cash I like to get to, just because the upside isn't there. How often do you get Kawhi Leonard going for over 40 points compared to how often you get him not going for 40, or going for over 50 compared to how often you get him not going for 40? The upside's just not there for me personally. I feel like I need more upside for those price range, but the guy's price is just coming down. So he's definitely an interest of mine today. Kawhi Leonard, just a phenomenal spot here in terms of pace, in terms of the over. The specific matchup itself, Bron himself, not going to be playing as many minutes as Kawhi today, potentially by 5 to 7 minutes. So that's just even better with Bron off the court. But this team in Toronto, just when they're all healthy, the distribution is just so split, I would say. Siakam's going to get his, Lowry will get his, that it just hurts Kawhi for fantasy. And now that his price is finally coming down, it helps a little bit. Toronto center position, again, Gasol or Ibaka. Right now I have Gasol since he started the last game at 25 minutes. I have Ibaka at 23. You could easily flip that if we get news that Ibaka starts. Whichever one starts, I do have interest in. They're both priced very favorably. I believe Gasol's at 5,400. I do like that, especially against the Lakers. JaVale McGee played 30 minutes in the last time out. Kyle Kuzma seems like he's done starting at the 5, which makes a lot of sense. But if JaVale McGee is going to be seeing those minutes, and Morris Wagner just didn't get the minutes. He was very good when he got his minutes in the last game, but just didn't come on the court in the second half. I don't expect McGee to just suddenly start playing 30 minutes again, but it was interesting to see that in the last game. I think I have him projected for 24 right now. I think it's just a great matchup on the other side for whoever's going up against McGee or even Wagner. So in Toronto, Kawhi has an interest for me, and you're going to get Marcus Gasol or Ibaka, more so Gasol if he starts, have interest against this Lakers bigs. Another game, so that Boston-Sacramento game, in terms of having another high pace, not a very high total based on the pace, which is something we don't usually see. And it's over that 220 mark that I like to hit on. Lowest total on the slate, low team total is 101 with Cleveland and 210 for projected, but Cleveland usually offers some nice plays, and we'll get to that. So Boston and Sacramento. It's tough right now with this news in terms of the Boston lineup. If Marcus Smart is fine, which I have him in right now, then it's good to go. Business as usual. Al Horford, I continue to like all the time, and he has continued to be playing very, very poorly as of late. But does draw a decent matchup today against Willie Cauley-Stein. Willie Cauley-Stein, awful matchup today, but I kind of like him if we get news that Bagley is out based on his price point. Somewhat of an interest just because of price. Kyrie today against Sacramento in a pace-up spot. Do like that a good amount. Kyrie's price has been coming down a little bit, and Kyrie's minutes can only go up. I imagine I have him at 34 right now. If Marcus Smart is out, I'd probably bump him to 35 minutes. But outside of that, nothing really seems attractive for me in this game. And I'm going to head over to Draftkings because I haven't really looked too much at the salaries today, personally. And I just want to get a beat on what some of these people's prices are looking like in terms of the Buddy Hields of the world. I know Bogdanovich is for Sacramento's at 5,300, which seems nice if he somehow gets bumped to the bench because Bagley comes back. I don't really want it. And Bogdanovich at the shooting guard spot is very much scoring dependent. Buddy Hield, on the other hand, whether he's at shooting guard or small forward today, he gets his assists, he gets his rebounds. So Hield's priced at 7,300. Price only comes down 100. So a couple days ago, everybody was on Hield, and for good reason. The matchup, the spot, everything was very good. But the price came up to 7,400, and I understand that he does have 50-point upside, but now he's priced at a point where you need him to get to his 50-point upside in a tournament at that 7,400 for the target value based on what his ownership was the other day. So I personally, once again, at 7,300 in this matchup, have no interest in Buddy Hield. I think he's a great basketball player, but I'm more so enjoying Buddy Hield in the 6,600 range, especially when there's a tough matchup. Ownership, though, since he burned a lot of people, likely to come off of him, but rightfully so. Moving over just quickly to this Cleveland and Orlando game. Zizic, if he gets to those 30 minutes, sure, it's nice to get him at, let's see, his price, $4,000. So price barely comes up on this guy. 300 should see. He played 34 minutes last game, pretty much dust. Now with Kevin Love back, his usage, his rebounding rates are going to be going down. And he's going up against Vucevic. Now that sucks for both him and Kevin Love. Vucevic. But at the 4 position, Jonathan Isaac is no scary defender at all. So I do like Love's matchup. I like Love in general today at $8,100. Not a lot of pure power forwards on this slate today, if we just go to the power forward column, there's really not a lot of pure power forwards. You're going to get a small forward here, a small forward here, a small forward here. Then you get $8,100 Kevin Love. We usually have some elite power forwards on the slates. We don't have that today. Then you get Siakam, Millsap, so it drops off significantly after that. There's really just not a lot of pure power forwards. I mean, you get the guys who count as centers, but as of right now, it's looking like this slate in general, not a lot of power forward upside. Looks like one where you can get Al Horford's in, guys who are just power forward eligible at the center position, potentially Marvin Bagley. Cedi Osman, who's just been bowling out, now priced up to $5,700, $500 increase. So for this game in general, for this game just in general right here, I love Vooch on the other end, playing 34 minutes now. If he's going to get a matchup versus Zizic today, he's just going to absolutely destroy him. Price doesn't change at $9,200 since last night when he was playing very well until the fourth quarter when they just really didn't need him anymore. For Cleveland, I like Kevin Love. Kevin Love being back, I imagine, hurts Cedi Osman a little bit. Marquise Chris coming back kind of reduces David Nwaba, who had a nice little run in the last game playing 30 minutes. But I like Kevin Love today at $8,100. We mentioned I like Cedi Osman. $500 increase probably isn't enough, but it's enough for me to at least pause a little bit. And I really like Sexton. Matthew Dellavedova being out helps Sexton. I'm not really a Jordan Clarkson person. I think in tournaments he's always viable, but a guy coming off the bench who has to get hot once he comes off the bench to really get you there, I would say. I don't really like that. I'd rather the guy who's going to get his 35 minutes in Sexton in what is somewhat of a favorable matchup. On the other end of the ball, I do like DJ Augustine once again today. Guy's price, it really isn't changed since yesterday. And here's the thing, Isaiah Briscoe is out. And the thing that's big about that, Isaiah Briscoe was the backup point guard. He was out for a good amount of time, came back for a few games. Now he's done for the year. When he has been out, you're getting DJ Augustine around 30 minutes, 29 to 31 minutes in these games, these contests. And he's just seeing more point per minute and just more minutes. The reason being is now Jerian Grant is the backup. That's not Jeremy, Jerian. And they don't want to give Jerian Grant the ball. They don't really want him out there, but he needs to be out there because they don't have any other guard depth right now. Markelle Fultz is not able to play. Yes, he's on this team, trade deadline. But yeah, so Jerian Grant is not Isaiah Briscoe. They wanted to get Briscoe minutes, 19 to 20, which was giving Augustine only around 28 minutes a game. Now they don't really want to get Grant minutes, so they'll stretch out Augustine a little bit, closer to 30 now. Is where he has been. Sure, he's a guy who can get you 20 to 23 points. If there's no other value on that slate, I'm kind of fine with that at the low 4,300 range. But now that he gets an extra 2 to 3 minutes a game with Briscoe out, I'm fine with it, especially when there's a good amount of the time that he goes over 25 points, like last night, getting close to 30. So I do like him in this matchup today against Sexton, a good amount. Like I said, I like Vooch on this side of the ball. Aaron Gordon, not as much today. Cleveland with Kevin Love out there, a little bit of a better rebounding team than Washington was yesterday, and a better matchup. Jonathan Isaac, sure, you can take a flyer on him. Evan Fournier and Cash is usually fine. But in this one, it's DJ Augustine and Vooch. On the other side, it's Sexton and Love from me. So I'm spending a lot of time on target offense. Like I said, just don't have early interest. So I'm kind of doing target offense and early interest in one. In terms of other games and other spots, I think today that Miles Turner, if he can get close to 30 minutes, is in a good spot. That's indicated right here by having the third best matchup on the slate in terms of points giving up over the last 30 days. So what do I like on the OKC side? It's sort of tough here. So overall, Indiana's a great defensive team. I don't really like Steven Adams today. Don't really like him all year long. Both George coming off a nice game at his price point right around 50. Westbrook going absolutely bananas, 30-plus point triple-double. And draws a decent or a little bit of a tougher matchup here. Pace is a little bit down. It's a pace-up spot for Indiana. Corey Joseph draws some attention for me. Corey Joseph is dirt cheap. Corey Joseph has the best matchup today for Indiana, going up against what will either be Terrence Ferguson or hopefully Dennis Schroeder most of the time. If Corey Joseph can see 25 minutes today at 3,500, if we don't get any other value, it seems very much viable in a game that's a pace-up spot for this team overall. So you would imagine that just more possessions for them. Maybe he'll get an extra assist or two, an extra bucket, an extra shot or two. And then Miles Turner draws some interest. Russell Westbrook's always going to have interest for me. But you can see the matchup today is brutal, which this guy is pretty much matchup proof. But not a lot has changed since yesterday. Unless we get value, then that changes the whole slate. But in terms of where the position Westbrook is in, if anything, his price is down $100, but everybody's going to be wanting to play him now because of what he did last night, recency bias. So in tournaments, Sure, it's fine playing Russell Westbrook, but that inflated 5 to 10% ownership on it, Russell Westbrook today, wouldn't have been there if not for yesterday. So just know that he's pretty much in the same spot as yesterday in terms of price and in terms of there not being really any value right now on this slate. Defensive matchup a little bit worse today, but again, the guy's matchup proof. So nothing really on the Thunder standing out for me if we don't get any real value. Jeremy Grant once again becomes a fine value play. Russell Westbrook always an interest, not really caring about this revenge narrative for Paul George. He loved his time in Indiana. I don't really want to see any revenge factors for the most part. Other things to hit on: Utah and Minnesota. I think this is an important one to hit on. So you're going to get Minnesota and Cat today. I love Cat. What is Cat's price at? Oh my God, 10-2. Yeah, I love Cat. It's simple as that, and I love him even more if Teague is out. Teague being out, like I said already in my projections, have him and Rose out. It's going to change a lot for this slate personally for me. I automatically love Tyus Jones as the best value play on the slate. The guy's price couldn't correct in time. He's $4,200. If he's a starting point guard today, I imagine Tyus Jones is going to see, I would project him for around 32 to 33 minutes. Look, if Teague and Rose are out, there's just not as many guards there. It's him and Jared Bayless, and they want to have Tyus Jones on the court, also for his defense, but also his just upside assists, ability to drive over a guy like Jared Bayless. So I would imagine 30 plus minutes, probably closer to 32 for Tyus Jones today if those two guys are out. And then you're just going to get increased triple-double upside, which is not usually a thing, but just increased assist percentages. You're already going to get the scoring and rebounds per Cat. It takes two more scorers, two more guards who get assists, especially Teague off the floor. 10-2 is just an atrocious price. Now he's going up against Gobert. I don't have the matchups in front of me, so I really can't talk on that too much personally. It's something I will look into, though. On the flip side, Gobert in a fine spot. I had him last night, first time I played him, I think, in cash this year outside of smaller slates. And it felt good. It worked out at 47 points. Not on that tonight. In terms of Utah, there's not really much that I want. Maybe I'll look at Favors or Crowder. Ricky Rubio, I would like in this matchup. Like it a lot worse if Teague is out because Tyus Jones, I think, is a better defender. But he's going to be playing mid-20s minutes. It seems like they're working his way back. He had 22 yesterday. I think I have him at 25 for today, 22 for today. So, yeah, there's not much outside of Cat and Tyus Jones that I want in that game. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. I could touch on these other games if you want in terms of, I really think the only game still to touch on is Denver and Dallas. So let's just touch on it and do a full slate quick breakdown. So, I mean, not much to say here. Second slowest paced game on the slate. Luka's price is now down to 8,400. Doesn't have a favorable matchup. Not sure if he's still battling this injury. He's interesting because Luka is probably priced where he should be now, and I think below 9K is a spot to always target Luka. But the guy can get you 30, it seems like, just as often as he can get you 60. And that wide range of outcomes is very scary to usually pay up for. Now that he's coming in at $8,400, I believe, it makes it a little bit more digestible. This game in general scares me. Just in the total matchup for everybody on the Dallas side. I mean, the bigs are going to get dominated here. Powell, not somebody that I even want to remotely touch today. Have to see how lineup construction goes. Jokic is definitely always in play for me, especially against guys like Powell and Dorian Finney-Smith and Kleber. I do want to see the price on Jokic versus Millsap. Jokic at 10K, grossly underpriced still, personally. Millsap at 6,600, probably appropriately priced, if not a little bit more. Usually, if Millsap's at 6,600, I'm fine just going right to Al Horford, who's a center for cheaper usually. Hasn't been working out as of late, as Horford's in sort of this big slump. But I do like Horford today, actually, if we didn't already say that in that Boston-Sacramento game. I like him every single day. Just an awful bias that has been hurting me as of late. But Denver, Dallas, not really much I super like here. Barton's minutes have been increasing. Gary Harris minutes have been increasing, but nothing I want to touch for the most part. Jamal Murray is pretty much the staple of consistency. I heard somebody say in the Discord the other day. I think that's pretty fair at the point guard position, priced right around the 62 to 6,400 range. And you're going to get pretty decent production out of him on most nights. Been really hot as of late in terms of just going for 30 points plus. So I do think Jamal Murray's still in play in terms of cash in tournaments. Not that much for me as of right now. There's really not a lot that I'm getting to from this Denver and Dallas game personally. The spots that I'm looking at is what happens in Minnesota. Wiggins I expect to be in. I think Wiggins is also a fine play, more so if you get Rose and Teague news being out. I expect Wiggins to play since he was close to playing the other day. But right now, it's Tyus Jones and Towns for me that I'm really interested in if they start, at least early in the day. And then it's picking pieces out of this Boston-Sacramento game, out of this Orlando and Cleveland game. Which pieces do I want the most? Because some guys are in favorable spots, even though it's the slowest paced game, lowest total by a wide margin. You do have guys like DJ Augustine, Sexton, who will be seeing minutes security today at the point guard position. You always like that. You do have bigs in Vooch and Kevin Love. More so Vooch just getting his minutes bumped up, as well as Kevin Love to an extent. His are pretty much have been there for now a week or so, around 30. But yeah, so that's where I'm at personally. Best matchup for an overall team today on the slate is probably Toronto against the Lakers. Just pretty much every spot has a good matchup. So yeah, that's target offense. Those are early interests sort of all in one. Pretty much a slate breakdown. This sheet will be in the Discord. It will be on Twitter promptly. I got to go study for an exam that's in like an hour and a half, finish up my studying. Quickly, just want to say once again, Draft Dashboard, check it out. 30 days for a buck. You get this NBA cheat sheet, you get the lineup optimizer, you can house your player pool, all those things, sorts of things. If you want to see my early player pool for today, I'm going to be putting in a Draft Dashboard today since I didn't do an early interest. So I'll just kind of check off some guys. You can get that down below. 30 days for a buck. It'll take you there. Then yeah, hop in the Discord, totally free. People chatting in here, got to catch up on it after this video. Hop in there, totally free. We're over 300 people now in there. People are chatting. And if you want to support me, you can go on Patreon and you'll get the projections as well. So check it out. My name's Sal. You already know that. Peace out, game.